Daniel Dubois feels there is definitely the possibility that he could be world champion as soon as 2020, next year. I've seen a lot of people in the wake of Dubois' victory over Nathan Gorman say that Dubois destroys anybody in the heavyweight division right now other than Tyson Fury. I suspect that most of the people saying that are big Tyson Fury fans who support gypsy boxers in general and were expecting Nathan Gorman to school Daniel Dubois in kind of a, Tyson Fury Klitschko type fashion. I suspect it's mostly that crowd. And perception really is everything in boxing. If your perception before the fight is that this is a relatively easy job for Nathan Gorman, and he's going to go in there and, display these slick skills and easily outbox Daniel Dubois, if that was your perception, then you would have been absolutely shocked by the outcome. The outcome would have turned your boxing world upside down and made you have to rethink and reassess what you think you know about boxing. Whereas if you were someone who didn't expect Nathan Gorman to go in there and have an easy night and outbox Daniel Dubois, then the outcome wouldn't have been so shocking to you. And therefore, you wouldn't really feel the need to reassess your perception of the heavyweight landscape so dramatically, if that makes sense. So for me, I felt like, I was leaning towards a Daniel Dubois victory. I think I picked him on points. Well, I did pick him on points. He ended up getting rid of Nathan Gorman. He was actually far more aggressive than I expected. But if either man had won this fight, it wouldn't have shocked me going in because there were two unknown quantities. Neither man had been tested. So, if Gorman had won, if Dubois had won, I wouldn't have been shocked. But if Gorman had gone in there and schooled Dubois, that would have shocked me, to be honest with you. It certainly would have surprised me because of what I spoke about pre-fight. The fact that Nathan Gorman, yes, he's elusive and, well, let me not say he's that elusive, but he's certainly fluid. Okay? Fast hands, fluid movement, etc. But unlike Tyson Fury, his cousin, he's not 6'9" with an 85-inch reach. And I feel like a lot of the Gorman fans or the Tyson fans were overlooking that fact. Yeah? One of the things that makes Tyson Fury so effective is the fact that he's so tall and his arms are so long. So when he employs this very slick movement along with that ridiculous reach and height, that's a very difficult proposition, a very difficult thing to overcome for the opponents. But if you took away Tyson Fury's height and reach and you made him as tall as Nathan Gorman with these short little arms that Gorman's got, he's not going to be so effective. Yeah, and again, a lot of, I think, the Tyson Fury, Nathan Gorman crowd completely neglected to look at that fact, that Gorman's dimensions were not so impressive as Tyson Fury's dimensions. And so dealing with a guy like Daniel Dubois would be more difficult from the outside. Yeah, Dubois, very long arms, good jab, controlled the action from the outside, which is kind of how I expected him to fight. That's what I talked about in my pre-fight video. So again, it all comes down to perception. If you felt like Gorman was going to school Dubois, your perception has been turned on its head. And now those kind of people whose perception has been turned on its head, they're going overboard. Oh my God, Dubois smashes anybody. He destroys anyone in the division other than Fury. Yeah, other than Fury, right? But everybody else. I don't buy it. I think Daniel Dubois is a fantastic young talent. I have to admit, earlier on in Daniel Dubois' career, up until maybe 3 fights ago, I was still very skeptical of the young man. I'll admit that. But his last few performances really impressed me, and certainly this one here against Nathan Gorman really impressed me. But let's not get carried away with ourselves. He's a young guy, he's only 21 years old. He still makes lots of mistakes. Nathan Gorman wasn't able to capitalize on them, but the mistakes are there. He definitely lunges in with shots, leaves himself open on a regular basis, and somebody who's more experienced, more slick, more able to hold their technique together, they're going to be able to capitalize on the mistakes Daniel Dubois is making. Now, so far, Dubois hasn't shown any vulnerability in terms of punch resistance, because we saw in the Richard Lartey fight, he got clipped a few times. In the Nathan Gorman fight, he got clipped a few times. Didn't seem particularly bothered. So I seriously doubt that he's got a David Price type chin problem. He may not have a chin problem at all. Okay, he may turn out to have a very good chin. We'll see. But yeah, the defensive vulnerabilities are very much there. He's very enthusiastic, Daniel Dubois. He likes to go in, all guns blazing, full steam ahead. Will he be that overzealous when he steps up in competition, when he starts fighting people who can punch? I don't know. I hope not, because if he is, he could well find himself on the canvas. Yeah, I mean, you look at the trade-up he had in the Richard Lartey fight. He had similar trade-ups in the Nathan Gorman fight. You're not going to win every single one of those trade-ups. He clearly believes in his power. He clearly has enough confidence, in his chin to be having those trade-ups time and time again. But is he building kind of a full sense of security by, going for these big exchanges all the time, believing in his chin and believing in his punching power that much? We have to watch that, okay? On the outside, Daniel Dubois is very good. That's where he's at his strongest from a technical point of view, is on the outside, because he has a very long jab. He keeps a nice distance between his legs to keep his balance. He throws the nice right hand, and he's able to put pressure on you by walking you down with a jab, kind of like a Vladimir Klitschko used to at times. Walk you down with a jab, put pressure on you, and make you panic. Nathan Gorman did panic, particularly after he got caught, particularly after he got dropped the first time. Nathan Gorman went into panic mode, and he was just swinging wild shots back at Daniel Dubois to try and get his respect. So Dubois, very, very effective from a technical point of view on the outside, but when he gets in close and he starts exchanging, he's still vulnerable there. Do not underestimate that. And if you think the top 10 guys, many of the guys in the top 10, are not going to be able to take advantage of that, I think you're very, very misguided. Yeah? So at the end of the day, at 21 years old, there is absolutely no reason at all to be rushing Daniel Dubois. Yeah, and it's not just the age, it's the number of fights he's had. He's only 12-0. People are talking about sticking him in with the top 10 heavyweights right now. I mean, you could, but what's the point? What's the need? Why the urgency? Why the rush? You don't need to rush him. 12-0, 21 years old, you can take your time. You can build him the right way. You can step him up incrementally. And by the way, Frank Warren, for all I criticize him and all he deserves to be criticized for, one thing I've always given Frank Warren credit for is being good at building fighters. He's always been good at that, Frank Warren. Yeah, from the days of Prince Nassim to Joe Calzaghe to more recent times with Billy Joe Saunders. He's always been good at building fighters. Let's not get that twisted at all. And I've already mentioned in previous videos that I think he's doing a good job in building Daniel Dubois, and up until now, a good job in building Nathan Gorman. So, will Frank Warren follow through on his very braggadocious claims recently that he would put Daniel Dubois in there with Anthony Joshua next, or any fighter out there next? Will he follow through on that? I personally hope not, because again, there's no reason to rush this guy. He's got all the time in the world. The world is his oyster. Don't rush him. But we'll see. Maybe he wants a return on his investment sooner rather than later. I don't know. They're talking about, again, the possibility of the Joe Joyce fight. I think that's a reasonable fight, even though Joyce was a more experienced senior amateur than Daniel Dubois. Joyce isn't looking amazing at the moment. Certainly didn't in the Brian Jennings fight. And that's a risky fight for Daniel Dubois. Don't get it twisted. I think that's a much more difficult fight for him than the Nathan Gorman fight. I mean, Joe Joyce was certainly a much more decorated amateur than Nathan Gorman. He's a bigger man. I suspect he's much physically stronger than Nathan Gorman. So, yeah, Dubois versus Gorman, I like to see it. It's risky, it's dangerous, but it's not too much of a leap because of Joe Joyce. I thought I said Gorman again there. So the Joe Joyce fight, it's risky, but it's not too much of a leap because of the vulnerabilities that Joe Joyce has shown of late. And styles make fights kind of thing. A lot of the time, it's not about how decorated a fighter is necessarily. where he's ranked. It's about what style he has sometimes. If there's a guy who's ranked, many, many places above you, but you feel like he has a style that your guy can deal with, then you might want to take that risk. Yeah, but at the same time, once you've stepped up to that level, you're going to be criticized harshly if you then step back down. Although it's not for a title, to be fair. Not for a world title. So there's still more leeway in terms of being able to step back down a couple levels. So anyway, that's my thoughts, or those are my thoughts rather, on Daniel Dubois and where he goes next. I think the Joyce fight is fine for him next. A European title, I think, is fine for Daniel Dubois. But in terms of world honors, breaking into the top 10, I just don't see the point in doing that right now. I just don't see it. You're going to try and rush him and put him into the top 10 when he isn't yet the finished article. No need to be doing that. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. I know I'm sounding like Tunde Ajayi now, but it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. There's no need to be doing that. I think Frank Warren has done an excellent job matching Daniel Dubois so far. I hope he continues, to match him very, very well. Obviously, he's taking steps up. He's, having tests, but they're appropriate steps up, appropriate tests. And I hope that continues. And then maybe back into 2020, going into 2021, you could start looking at Daniel Dubois fighting some of the top guys in the division, maybe even challenging for world honors. But for now, let's just keep him on this nice, steady track that he's been on. Yeah, that's my opinion. So, and I do want to see certain areas of improvement with Daniel Dubois. As I say, his defense, when he's exchanging and stuff like that, and his overzealousness, that will, at some point, if it's not addressed, become a problem for him, where he will get caught in exchanges like that against fighters who can hold their technique together better than a Nathan Gorman. Fighters who can punch harder than a Nathan Gorman too. They're going to catch him in them kind of situations there. So he has to watch out for that and improve. And he's got plenty of time to improve at 21 years old and only 12-0. Loads of time to address any issues that he may have. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening. I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.